Okay, right now I'm going to talk about some Farmall F-30 brake removal methods. And these things, the tractors are getting to be 80, 90 years old. Um, they've been sitting out a lot of times, and these things can be rusted, literally rusted together or rusted on. Now the way I usually take these off, I learned on an F-20 that you can beat on these all day, and these have been beat on several times, and it's, you can see where it's been curled up, that they've been beat on several times. Well, the way I do it, and this morning I took these off of a F-30 that had been sitting around for who knows how many years. And what I like to do is, if I can get this to sit still, okay, there's another little ear. You can see this ear on this one, on the cover. Now there's another little ear on the tractor. And what I like to do is take these two bolts, and I usually like to use grade 8, but this is all I had on hand right now. And as you can see, they did bend a little bit. But I'll take these and put them through this here, put a couple of washers and a couple of nuts, washer, nut, and then another washer, and then this will stick through the center ear on the, or the other ear on the tractor. And then what you do is you just tighten this one, you put them on both sides, and you just use some pressure to kind of pop this can off. Now you might have to beat on this a little bit. What I do is I take a cold chisel with a flattened nose on it, and I also spray some WD-40 or some other oil down in this crack and get it lubed up. Then tighten these down, and those ears are only about, I'd say, an inch apart, and they'll get to be probably 1 3/4 to 7/8 apart before this can will actually pop off. But what you can do is you can tighten these down, both sides, kind of do it fairly even, and then tap on this with that chisel with the blunt nose, spray some more oil on it, but keep a little pressure on it. Now the bottom you can't tap on because it's pretty tight to the tractor, but if you get the top to pop loose, the bottom's going to come with it. And sometimes at the end you may have to back this off and loosen it up and then tap, and it'll finally come off. But I've done this on several tractors now. Just it saves a lot of beating, but use that method. If one of the ears comes off, then it probably wasn't on there very good to begin with. So and they can be re-welded on there. Now the next thing you've got is the brake drum itself. This, you slide this off, and the brake shoes are behind it. Now as you can see, this one here, it's pretty rusty, pretty nasty, and I'll have to clean that up so I can use it. But what I did was I made a puller for an F-20. Now I should have made this just a little stouter, but I've used this again on several tractors and several times on them, and it's worked. But I made it out of 1/8 inch by 3/4, and I should have made it out of maybe 3/16 or maybe even 1/4 by inch. And what you do is there's 2 screw holes here, and now my F-20, I had to take them out. There's 2 little screws that go in here. You can see the hole, and but they came out fairly easy. And then I just take their 3/8 course, and here again I'd rather have grade 8 or at least grade 5, but this is all I had. And of course it has a spline shaft that comes out there, and you just use it like any other puller. You'll have this down there. The centerpiece will hit the spline shaft. You'll tighten it down and spray a little oil behind it. Get use the nozzle the straw on the WD-40 can and get a little back behind it if you can. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get back there, but you can get enough to make a difference. And then just thread these in. They don't have to go all the way, but thread them in quite a ways, and then you can start. It'll center, and then you can start tightening it up on that shaft, and you can kind of tap it a little bit as you go around the edge, kind of knock things loose, but keep tightening it and put some pressure on it. And even if you have to walk away and come back later, but that's all you have to do. Just use it like a regular puller, and it'll stand up and it'll pull that thing off. Now these are the shoes that I had, and you can tell they're kind of pitted and everything, and there's almost no, the pad on it is pretty well shot, or the liner, but they seem to be in pretty good condition, other than really extremely dirty. The other side, it seems like no matter what, on these old tractors that I take apart, one side will just fall apart and the other one will be just rusted in there, and it don't want to come out. And it was the same on this tractor. The other side, I hooked up the puller, and I turned this a couple times with a wrench, and then I just grabbed it and pulled the whole thing off. But that's the best way that I found to do it, and I'm glad that IH put those little threaded holes there. That's what they are designed for, is so they can use a puller. But I figured if this would help somebody out, then that's what I intended it for.